post-mortem on this piece. I'm editing the video and going through it. Well, it's sped up pretty significantly. I have like 3 or 4 hours of video footage from this piece coming to life, and these pieces are a little more niche. They're something that I come back to regularly, and there's a few ways to describe them. Is even as breaking it down is simply there's no reference point, or there's not a lot of thought that goes into them, and they're very expressive and they're very unconscious. There's not it's not very contrived or premeditated, and I have to do this for myself. Like it's almost like it's very organic for me to, after doing a bunch of pieces that were plotted out, to jump into something that's very abstract and very subconscious. And I want to do, really, I've talked about this before, but it's really those ink blots, those Rorschach tests, where I just start painting and see it, and then find things in the imagery, or I might add things purposefully, but it's based on the previous layers, or it's like I'm going to spin it and see how my mind can adapt when I add, for example, like this slug. Putting a slug in the middle of it was super random, but then I'm like, well, make it work. And part of me, as soon as I put it in there, I knew that it would be really hard to make this work, to be honest. So it's like a test and a exercise and a thought experiment as I'm going along. How do I pull this together if possible? And then, part of the battle is, well, I can't pull it together, but you keep painting anyway. And so that process in itself is like, it's not coming together, but it is, because I'm not stopping. I think the moment that you give up or you admit defeat, then you lose, in a sense. So I don't let myself stop, even if I don't like it, even if I find it to be not going in a direction that is satisfying, and you don't stop. And then you kind of, so a few things will happen. One, you're just painting, which I think is a win. But also you're working out a few different skills. You try to different things, and it's like, okay, well, this slug alone didn't really work. Let me add this quote unquote beautiful woman into the mix and see what that does. Maybe it balances out this slug, kind of harmonious Bosch inspired kind of creature. And then I love my Batman influences. I've always said, like, when in doubt, just paint Batman. I think that's just significant more for just paint, right? It's the idea of just paint. In order to paint, you must start painting. And that's the idea of, like, when in doubt, just paint Batman. But what happened was I also had a lot of dry times, meaning, so like the painting would sit for a few hours, and then I would put a layer of glaze, and then it kind of brought some more life into it, which I really started to enjoy. I did start to enjoy the chaotic, abstract elements, and then I tried to want to bring some realism into it, and I just keep going. I think that's kind of the message here, is just you keep going. And while I'm doing that, it's like, what am I seeing? What's here? What am I discovering by doing this? That's the big question. What did I discover through these hot secrets? The painting's called Hot Secrets. And is there anything that I'm exposing of myself? It's almost like a live diary entry. With a diary, you have to put words down, right? And then you can read them the next day and see what you were going through or what you were thinking. I think this is a very similar kind of process, and a very similar type of way to explore your own psyche, the way to kind of self-discovery while enjoying the process of creating.